Alright, so I'm going to show you a little demo of the protocol decoding for the PicoScope. So this is nice, much nicer than the physical scopes. They always charge you for these add-ons, so even the Rigo models. So this is nice because they keep adding new ones to the PicoScope. So I'm going to just use a serial decoder because it's something everyone's familiar with, and it should show you sort of some interesting things. So to start with, I will set up appropriate triggers, so falling edge, and if I pull up my little window here, I can just send A, and so we can see it's all more or less set up here. We can now add the serial decoding, and we'll select the protocol. So you can see there's quite a few different ones supported. I'm going to use the RS232 UART. And you can just hit this button and it auto detects the baud, and that's just about, I think I had requested 230 baud, so I don't know how accurate the actual baud settings of this device are, and it detects the logic threshold as well. And I'm going to display both in view and in window, and we'll hit OK. And so the first thing you see is you get this really cool, this is actually a really handy little display because it shows you which each packet is corresponding to what in the time domain, so you can move this, wherever you want. I'm going to put it right on, maybe not quite right on top there, right up there. And then down here we have information about each received byte, so I'm just going to start the trigger again, send a longer string, hello there, oops, how are you? And we can see the received data there. So I don't have any parity or anything like that set up, so we can see the data on the top, and of course we can switch it here. I just did it. How did I do that? Okay, here we go. Display format ASCII. So hello there, how are you? And we can also, you can select to put on some specific fields. So a cool field here is if I enable the statistics, you can actually see the length of the packet and timing. So if you're making your own serial link, you have some code, especially if you're doing something like a software UART, it's super handy to be able to check all these things here, and then some of the voltage differences and maximum voltages. But you can see that it's quite nice. It seems quite well done, especially having the fields put right here, as well as being able to get specific information about each byte. So if you're really troubleshooting issues, I know in the past things like this have been really critical. So it doesn't have as many channels as a dedicated logic analyzer, and there's some nice ones out there. I personally use the logic port analyzer here. I know there's a Logic 16 device, something like that, but you don't get the analog information, which is why it's also really handy having it on the scope, because, for example, you can verify rising and fall time, see noise, see where it's at, and it's made a lot easier by having these statistics that you can just run things through. So that's just sort of a quick overview of using the decoders on the PicoScope, and I actually am also going to show you in a separate video how to use the arbitrary waveform generator to take this data and then send it back out, and then you can also modify the data a bit to see how how sensitive your system is to timing variations.